That's right. We have the hands of the jungler and Dardoch himself here. Immortals taking the victory over Dignitas. Coming into this game, it seemed a bit like a different Immortals in emotion. Smiles all around. It seemed like you were joking, having fun. What was the difference coming in this week?
Well, we had like really good, well, not really good practice, but we had better than average practice, and we were actually doing really well in scrims for a change where we always have the attitude to improve after every loss, but you know, losing a lot always sucks. So we were winning a lot this week, and we just had really good practice, and we're all just warming up to each other and getting good synergy.
Well, it definitely seemed like it on the Rift. Coming up into this year, you kind of mentioned on social media and before that you felt your first jitters on stage. Kind of how have you processed that and worked through it so far?
Well, I was pretty nervous picking Warwick game 1 because honestly, I just kind of troll on the champ. It's just like natural to just troll on that champ. So I was pretty nervous playing it on stage. I was just like, I said in comms, I was like, I hope this doesn't turn into a fiesta. And then, yeah, we had really, Cody Sun really stepped up today, and he had really good calls in game 1, just telling us to play around his poke and to take everything really slowly instead of well, I just jump in on Warwick, and it kind of just turns into a fiesta, but it was really good. My teammates kept me in the game.
You guys were enjoying the party. That's what counts. The fiesta was enjoyed. I do have to ask you, though. You were the one to tweet Warwick will never be played in the LCS probably, and you're the guy to pick Warwick. Are you faking people out, or are you just like, whatever, I'm going against my own word?
Well, I thought the champion was really awful, and then UOL played it in EULCS, so I was like, all right, I might as well, because I never played it. I saw the rework, and I was like...
So wait, I'm stopping you. You never played it?
I didn't play it. I just looked at the rework, and I was like, okay, like, it has its use for solo queue, but I'm pretty sure this is awful and competitive. And then Xerxes played it in EULCS, and I mean, the guy's a genius. Like, he plays all this random stuff. Like, he plays Zac, Rumble, Warwick, Ivern before it was a thing. And
don't give away your champion pool now.
He looks really good, and UOL as a team look really strong as well. So I was just like, okay, maybe it has some value. So I just sat and watched like 5 hours of his VODs, and then I played it in scrims, and I was like, okay, we lost, and it was pretty troll, but the champ can be good, I think.
Well, there you go. As long as the team gets you behind you, you can make it come together. Now, the jungle matchup staying there, coming in on Sunday, is versus Reignover. And obviously, you guys have a little back and forth. How do you feel about that matchup, actually seeing how TL did today against Cloud9?
Well, if not taking into account the Cloud9 series, I would have said it was easily favored towards me. Okay. But Reignover looks back in form, and that makes me really excited to play against him. But I mean, I just took down Chaser with little to no struggle, so I think we're both going to come in hot, and I hope it's close.
All right, Dardoch, thank you for joining me. Have a nice Saturday off, and we'll see you guys back on Sunday. Now we're going to throw it to the analyst desk to break down the rest of the day.
Thank you very much, Riv. They had a good week of scrims. They're starting off their weekend of games with a 2-0 victory here over a struggling Dignitas. And you heard Dardoch right there give props to Cody Sun in particular for stepping up for this roster because, again, we look at Dardoch as a playmaker, but you always look at teams and you say you got to have a couple options to win. And seeing Cody Sun step up today is a really big thing for this team.
It really is, and I mean, we've seen a couple AD carries step up today, both Piglet and Cody Sun, who had been getting a lot of flack for their poor performances, and rightfully so. You know, they hadn't really been doing very well, but both the Varus game, he did great. You know, yeah, it was kind of a slow game, but he was able to get a lot done. And then on MF too, honestly, he was great on MF. And the fact that he was target banned and still ended up having a really good game, some key ultimates throughout the game, especially that game-ending fight at the end was pretty insane. But across the board, he played a lot better, and it was big for the team.
Right, and beyond that, he's playing outside, at least in this game, of the meta. Of course, he had the S-tier Varus pick in game 1, but here showing the MF, giving them more flexibility and variation in their team comps. Again, if we just look at the drafting from Immortals today, I feel like they've opened up a few more strategies for themselves moving forward, and it's going to bode well for this team. Let's go ahead and take a look at that game-winning team fight that you're talking about. Cody Sun, huge bullet time here to close out the game.
Yeah, I mean, this one was just insane. And honestly, I think even though MF isn't kind of that S tier, I think partly because of the lane you get outranged so bad, just look at the amount of damage he is pumping out here. That in combination with the rest of the squad, they have CC from the Rise holding people in the ultimate, same thing from the Malzahar, Nautilus as well. you have a well-crafted composition. These people can hold them into the bullet time, and then you have a pretty fed Kazakhs who can jump in and clean up anyone who's left alone.
I was about to say, if anyone gets away, they have a Kazakhs to deal with soon after that. This time around, though, everyone on the team doing a little bit more of the damage share, so it wasn't all on Cody's shoulders, but he still does top those damage charts, rather. So once again,
and significantly over Varus, mind you, right? And
that's a good point.
And the thing is, he played against the Varus and as the Varus, and he looked much better on both sides.
Absolutely, absolutely. But here's the thing. Immortals pick up the victory today, but they felt relatively untested in this series. And I think that's what I want to dig into here is the declining Dignitas team, right? 1-1 first week. Jat mentioned it at the very beginning of the day. 1-1, losing to Cloud9 in a relatively close series. We were looking at this squad as a possible top 2 to 4 team. And since then, it's just been trending downward. Do you have any clues, any hypothesis as to why it is that this team is taking steps backwards, it seems?
It really feels like it has to be some sort of mental problem here as far as the teams really having a mental block on, hey, we're trying this strategy, it didn't work, it must be wrong, kind of doubting yourself, getting in your own head, because the team that we saw in week 1 actually looked pretty solid.
Right.
And just objectively, they seem to be getting worse and worse. Game 1, it felt like they didn't try anything. Game 2, yes, they drafted some initiation, they drafted some options for that, but they still really look kind of lackadaisical. They don't seem to be fully committed to it, and that to me speaks of a team that's not communicating well, that's not getting along well, and that is really kind of doubting what has worked for them in the past.
Which is a crazy thing, because if the communication is not there, everything we're hearing from this team is how much the 2 Koreans on this roster are investing in learning English, and that they're almost entirely speaking in English at this point. So you would think that over time, communication would only get better for this Dignitas roster, and that they would slowly rise. So then it maybe points to, okay, well, we've been losing, right? And so maybe now we're having trouble identifying what our actual win conditions of a team are.
Yeah, I mean, it gets really tough. And speaking of the English lessons, from what I've heard, these guys have been taking, 12 or more hours of English lessons a week, plus a rigorous practice schedule, plus your LCS performances, the stress of bad performances, moving to a new country, etc. Like, that's a lot of things on someone's plate. And to be fair to guys like Someday and Chaser, if you think to Impact, it was a long time before he was really accepted kind of as a star in NA again. Yes, he had some pretty good performances on TIP. NRG was so-so, but even Cloud9, it wasn't until like the end of the year that he started to really look good. So you can give them kind of the benefit of the doubt that hopefully things are going to improve for these guys and they're going to find their groove. But for now, it's not there.
That's a really good point. I mean, it was playoffs and Worlds impact that is still very fresh in our minds, but he has had struggles himself. So we'll see if Dignitas can find a way to bounce back from all of this kind of unluck they're having, so to say. No, but player of the game is going to go to Dardoch this time around. Picked up that first blood, unlocked the team. The other person in the running there was Cody Sun, who had a stellar performance as the previous game, but 5-0-5 on the Kazakhs following what he called the trolley Warwick game where you do nothing.
Hey, I mean, he had full skill participation. He got something done. He got the win. But Kazakhs, 5-0-5 for Dardoch, gets the first blood, never really stops rolling. This is kind of classic Dardoch. Looked very good, especially in combination with Cody Sun, softening people up, allowing him to get those executions, even in the late game team fights, when it can get tougher for that Kazakhs. So well played, well deserved from him. And it's good to see it's not just the Dardoch show.
Right, yes, I was about to say dominant 2-0 series out of Immortals, but we're seeing varied strategies from them. We're seeing multiple carries, multiple possibilities of winning. Now, going into the rest of the weekend, let's see how the teams rank against one another. Holding on to their top spot is Cloud9 in first. Then we have FlyQuest and TSM holding a tie at second, while Immortals take possession of 5th place. And we're going to round out the standings with Team Dignitas, who are still looking to pick up their first match win since week 1. Now, we'll be back again tomorrow with another full day of action. Our coverage kicks off with Counterlogic Gaming and Echo Fox taking to the stage on NA LCS 1, with TSM going against Team Envy shortly after. Over on NA LCS 2, Phoenix 1 looks to knock FlyQuest out of their spot in second. Then Rainover and Dardoch face former teammates with Team Liquid versus Immortals. And we heard Dardoch talking about it just there when Riv asked, prior to the C9 series, he would have said, I got this matchup on lock. But seeing Rainover maybe return to form a little bit, and on that Graves put up some big performances.
He looked scary on the Graves. I mean, that one blemish, the miss might, but still, he looked incredible in both games. He looked solid in game 3, too. Some big games tomorrow for a number of teams. FlyQuest versus P1, 2 teams near the top of the standings. CLG and Echo Fox, 2 teams kind of having a resurgence, looking like they are improving a lot, but still needing to pick up those wins. So the 2 games, for me, start the day off off are pretty exciting.
All righty. Well, for myself, the casters, and the entire live broadcast crew, I'm going to thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for more North American LCS. Good night.